Welcome to Daily Reset this Friday morning on 6th of March 2026. It is indeed a delight to see all of you. Thank you. Thank you all. Let's hear from Esther Irongo. Esther, good morning. How is your week? Can you hear me?
It's just
There she is. There she is.
I'm still
Okay, Esther
loading.
Karibu.
Asante sana.
Talk to us. Talk to us. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pleasure to be here. We thank God for His mercies. Yeah,
We need to hear, Esther. How have you been doing? How is the week? Let's have your face a little bit more. We can't see you on camera.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
now,
there you go. Talk to us. What's the greatest thing that has happened this week?
I think the highlight of the week was yesterday when we were being told that what we have to do is at the level of identity, and it's connecting with the theme of the year for myself because I've been searching inside who I am, finding who I am in Christ, and that knowing that will help me overcome any obstacle that comes. Because as we were told that obstacles come at the level of identity and not all the others that we've been thinking about capabilities, environment, and beliefs. So, yeah, and knowing that I am, even before performing, is enough. And I'm a child of God, not an adult of God. That thing always hits me every time. I do not have to perform to be, and that's refreshing. Yeah.
What's the one thing that you're working on that you are trying to overcome or you have successfully overcome?
Okay, I'm still grappling with the idea that I do not have to perform to be, I do not have to hold a certain role to be perfect or to be who I am or what God created me to be. I am because He already created me and He put the purpose in me. I do not have to start being the best artist or being the best musician for me to fit in. I already fit in. And that identity that He gave me is enabling me now to do what He assigned me to do. I do not have to do to become, I am already. So also the idea of not pleasing people because I felt before that I have to do something to be loved. But if someone does not appreciate me, my being, that means they're only after what I can offer, not because of who I am. And that's awakening in a way because it's making me also like to cut off ties of people that expect me to do so much when I'm not able to provide that. So I know the difference between nikure kwedo na nikure gutumiro. You understand? Like people use you, people, then there are those who love you for who you are. So it's helping me draw those boundaries. If you don't accept me the way I am right now until I give you something or I do something for you, I know which category you belong in. And it's also helping me with that idea of not people pleasing. Okay, I've not really come out of it because I find those things coming out, but at least I'm aware. I'm aware that when I do this so that I can belong, I'm people pleasing.
How
Yeah,
is
but
that improving your capacity to do the things that you have set yourself to do?
it's helping me in doing things that are like in self-development projects because most of the times I would find someone telling me, hey, can you come over and do something for me? And I'll stop doing what I was doing so that I can go because I don't want to draw negative reactions from them. But right now I'm able to say, no, can you give me time until this time? And if they do not accept, then I know that I'm free for other things. There are those who are aligning, there are those who are not aligning. So there's friction, but we were told there is no life without friction. So I'm welcoming it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Esther Irungu. Quite nice to see you logged in, Ali. And on video, karibu sana, also to know that you are taking this one. Do you have any specific question? You post questions and it triggers all of us. Do you have any specific question for today?
The last question was not answered, so I'm still waiting. Like
Which one?
connecting, the one on Saturday where I was asking that, like, how do I connect to all the six layers as a parent who wants to be a responsible parent and to connect with her kids? How do I get to the core self? How do I go to the belief and the identity? All the six layers. There's
Okay.
a way I've still not been able to like connect them at the place I want to be. Because you remember I said that one of the things I want to do is connect with my children, to avoid shouting, to like to be there when they
Mm.
need me, to be there to connect them when they're doing homework. And there's so many other things that I want to do, but I want to know like how does that apply to all the layers? I do not want to find myself caught up in the layer of behavior and forget all these other layers.
I think
So
that's
it's
what we've been answered in the last weeks because it says identity first. Once you're operating from your identity, then you do not have to worry about the other capacity, behavior. So the identity answers how you connect with your true identity, and the rest fall into place. But you could tag Doc again on that question. But my thinking is that that's what we've been doing, focusing that once you touch your identity, everything else aligns.
okay, okay. But I think because it's not really a new concept because I think you have talked about it. It's just that maybe connecting all that, and especially the core self, I've not really been able to like cut out what is the core self and how is it different from identity, because I feel like they are one, but
Okay,
they are
just tag
separated.
Doc on that question
Okay.
because I'm sure once he scrolls and we're posting a lot, he probably just misses it.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Tag me as well so that I can look at it and alert him. Okay.
Sawa sawa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's appreciate Esther Irungu and touch on our uh, WhatsApp. Oh, sorry. What did I say? WhatsApp. Our chat on our chat box, the feedback you would have for her sharing. Let's see some feedback for Esther on the chat box. So let's welcome Frida, Abby, Sally, Florence, Shiro, Lillian, Ruth. Welcome, I play. Welcome, Debbie. Let's have more people on video, please. Great. We would like to hear today from, who would you like to hear from? Lillian, have you spoken to us in the last 72 hours? Lillian, good morning. Good morning, Lillian.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Tell us, talk to us. How is your week?
My week is good. So far, so good. I thank God for it.
How is the progress on your daily reset program?
My progress so far, so good. I'm being able to practically apply what we learn in the morning as my days progress, and I'm becoming self-aware, as Esther was saying. As the day progresses, you're becoming self-aware. So I'm also being able to fix the places where I need to fix. Also, just being able to carve out a space for me, just especially yesterday's session was very nice. And I like what Esther has said, that I don't have to do to belong. I already belong. So yeah, so far so good.
What's the one thing you can say you have achieved so far or overcome so far? Achieved or overcome?
I think the one thing I'd say that I've achieved is I'm just happy to be me, and I'm becoming more aware the times where I'm going over and above just people. So I think that is a good place, because then I'm being able to do what makes me happy, and I'm not bending over backwards to accommodate people. So for me, that's a big plus. Because then, I don't know, for me, I just congratulate myself and I'm like, yeah, you're getting a spine. Yeah, that's a big plus for me.
You're getting a spine. Wow. Wow. Hey, that's a statement. We are getting a spine. Well done. Thank you, Lillian. Let's appreciate Lillian for giving us a statement of the day. We are getting our spine back. Karibu sana. Welcome our coach to take us through the session, Dr. Job Mogire. Karibu sana, coach and heart doctor.
Thank you so much, Gladys. I'm glad that I was still able to make it before the session was over. Please, I hope you moved. We don't have the time to move. I will join in, and I've just heard what Lillian was sharing. Let's continue getting a spine. I wanted us to pick up from where we left yesterday. We looked at this passage yesterday. We looked at this passage where it was an exchange of identity, two-way. Jesus asks Peter to say who he is after asking all the disciples. And after Jesus hears from Peter that Peter has connected to his identity, then he knows that Peter is ready to be connected to with identity. As soon as Peter touches Jesus' identity, Jesus then names Peter's identity and deposits the assignment there. But Peter is a very complex character. I wanted us to look at Peter from another perspective. We jump to another gospel, the Gospel of John, chapter 21. You need to go and read this story. Because after Jesus was buried, and even after he resurrected, something devastating happened. And so at the time when he meets the disciples in this context, something very unexpected has happened. What happened? The men went back to fishing. They collapsed to who they were before they met him. They have seen his miracles. They have seen him crucified. They know that he has resurrected. In fact, in this passage, it is the third time he's appearing to them. But they went back to fishing. In the face of pressure, they collapsed to the old identity. This is the passage where he shows up. They have been fishing the whole night because they were gone for years, 3 years, while they were serving with Jesus, and then they went back fishing. That night they stay in the sea. The whole night they are not catching anything until in the morning a stranger shows by and says, throw the nets on the right side. When they throw the nets on the right side, they catch a harvest bigger than they can hold. And in the meantime, he sets a fire by the shore. They've caught the fish, and that is how he first met them. And they bring the fish to the shore. He set the fire, and he asks them to bring a bit of fish. He roasts the fish for them, and he serves them breakfast. This is breakfast served by the Lord. Fish. I'm sure that fish was roasted. You don't even need to marinate it. It was just tasty. And then after, so when they had eaten breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, he's speaking to the rock. He's called Peter here because he had already been named Peter. But Peter the rock denied Jesus 3 times. Peter the rock went back fishing. That's because sometimes identity can collapse in the face of pressure. Jesus said, Simon Peter, Simon, Simon, son of Jonah, which is Simon Bar Jonah. He had already called him Peter, but because he realizes that he has forgotten who he is, He calls him by his old identity so that he can return him. He meets him where he is. When he comes and finds him having been trying to fish the whole night, he realizes that it's not the rock that was fishing. It is the character that was acting. It's the capabilities, the behavior. Trying to fish all night. If I stay long enough, I might be able to catch fish. Except as long as his identity was misaligned, it doesn't matter how long you stay. Sometimes you stay on the project long enough, but you're staying from your behavior. You're staying from your capabilities. You're staying from your beliefs, which means you are disconnected. You will not receive the harvest. You will not receive the blessing. You will not receive the favor. The door that needs to open does not open to your capability. It opens to your identity because it opens to the seed of the assignment. And the seed of the assignment is only planted in the soil of your identity. And that's why Jesus does not call him Peter. He calls him Simon, son of Jonah, Simon Bar Jonah. Do you love me more than this? And he said, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. The man speaking is the man who denied Jesus 3 times. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Feed my lambs. He's trying to call him back to his function, the function that is anchored on his identity as the rock on which the church will be built. He said to him again a second time, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Tend my sheep. He said to him a third time, I could be annoyed if you ask me those kinds of questions. You are like, are you at home? Yes, I'm at home. Are you at home? By the time you're asking me the third time, I'll probably be very annoyed. But he asked him a third time, Simon, son of Jonah, Simon Bar Jonah, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, Lord, you know all things. Lord, you know all things. That is a response to Jesus' identity. It's no longer a response to the question, and it's not a response from the surface. That is a response from deep within. You know all things. In this moment, Peter connects to a truth, the one thing that will be true throughout the entire time that he had been with Jesus. You know all things. You know all things. There is no true return to your identity without the truth. Truth will set you free. Jesus said, truth will set you free. You shall know the truth shall set you free. In this moment, Peter is set free from the collapse that led him to go from the leader of the disciples to the leader of men whose identities have collapsed and they have retreated back to their old life. They went from being the disciples who have been with Jesus for 3 years to suddenly become a group of men who are lost at the sea trying to fish, but they can't even catch fish. They have not only lost what they've been learning for 3 years, but they can't even connect to who they used to be. They are caught in between 2 worlds, the world they have been living for the last 3 years and the old world that they used to be. Lord, Lord, you know all things. And then he connected with the same response, you know that I love you. But this time round, it is coming from a place deeper. And that was the end of it. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. The question is, why did he have to ask it 3 times? Why did he have to ask it 3 times? Because every single time you fall, it requires a return to cancel every failure. Every time you deviate, you have to return. And this is what return means. Every single time I've ever criticized myself, I have to intentionally affirm myself until I have canceled all those affirmations. Peter has denied Jesus 3 times. He denied Jesus 3 times. This, maybe write this down, that behavior can bury identity, but it can never break identity. Your behavior can bury your identity, but it can never break your identity. Peter's behavior buried his identity. The rock denied Jesus 3 times. The rock went to the sea to fish, and all the other disciples followed him. In other words, his behavior spoke of a story that is very different from his true identity. But Jesus came to meet him where he is, and he led him back to identity by canceling all 3 denials. He canceled the first one, he canceled the second one, he canceled the third one. Your behavior can bury your identity. It can never break it. Identity is the only element of your life that can overcome any obstacle, that it can endure any waves, any turbulence, any pressure. Even when it doesn't seem like it, identity always survives. Identity always survives. I want you to write down a couple of statements. You will take Peter's words and you will say, Lord, you know all things, but I want you to write it as, Lord, you know that, and you write a couple of things that are true about you, whether they feel true in this moment or not. It doesn't matter, because your identity might be buried by so many layers of behavior, so many layers of your capabilities, so many layers of your beliefs. And remember, beliefs are both permissions and limitations. But identity is like a seed. It endures, it survives. Identity is like a cockroach. It doesn't matter how many times you bomb a place, the cockroaches survive. Lord, you know that. You know that in fact, you know that I am. Find the statements that arise for you. Lord, you know that I am. Because he knows all things. And if we can connect to the identity, at the moment Peter connected to the identity, when he connected to the identity, the truth had to show up. So why does identity matter so much? And why do we get caught misconstruing identity? What is the single most distinct thing about identity? The single most distinct thing about identity is that identity is about function. It's not about role. And those two things are very, very different. It's about function. What was Peter's function? Rock. What do rocks do? They create a steady environment. What did his behavior portray? Everything other than steady. Everything else other than steady. Denied Jesus 3 times. It took a machete and cut somebody's ear. That is not a steady person. But that is behavior. It can bury his identity, it will never break it. What is the equivalent? In fact, that's a question for you to meditate on, pray about, maybe write it personally. What is the equivalent of rock for me? What is the equivalent? In other words, what is that single clear function? Your assignment comes down to a very simple, clear function. Maybe you are a mirror. Maybe you are a listening ear. Maybe you are a problem solver. Maybe you are a calming presence. Maybe you are a light. Maybe you are a pruner. I don't know. I keep praying to get more clarity, but the more I have reflected about identity, there are 8 passages in the Bible that I have studied over and over about identity. One of them is Jacob, when the angel eventually tells him, no, you are not Jacob, you are Israel. There are so many of them, and it came to a point when it was impressed in my heart that my function at the very core is voice. My function is voice. I am a doctor. I do hold the guitar, try to sing, I do write, and I believe that that's the core of my function. How does it show up? In many ways. What is the equivalent for you when it comes to the function? Because identity sets apart. Identity, that's the whole point. That's why you can identify a Subaru from a Mazda. You can identify a donkey from a sheep because of the identities they carry, but beyond the identity, there is function. If I showed you something like this, so what is this? Is it a black piece of electronic? At the end of the day, the identity of this thing is the function. I can carry this and use it as a torch. In my mind, that's the identity of this. So I can walk around. I am a whole smartphone, but I believe that I am a torch, and that is all I do. I charge my battery, I show up, I am a torch. I'm a smartphone. Because I'm a torch, I was bought in 2008. I still have software from 2008 because I don't realize that my identity is smartphone. And one of the features of smartphones is it has software that needs to be updated. So I can live a very, very, very limited life because I have never connected to my function, which means I've never connected to my identity. Therefore, my beliefs are, I am a torch. Therefore, the beliefs are already preset. My capabilities are already predetermined. My behavior is already predetermined. My environment is already predetermined because everything rises and falls to the level of identity. What is your equivalent of rock? Jesus called the man who would deny him 3 times, cut somebody's ear, and retreat back to fishing when the pressure came upon him. He called him the rock because behavior can bury, it can conceal, it can contaminate everything else, but it can never break your identity. Your behavior can bury your identity, can never break. And your core, true, authentic, original identity still exists. If it didn't, there wouldn't be any reason to try to return. What are you returning to? The challenge of return is to return to the original identity. Intentionality gives me the power to embody the identity, the original function. That original function that God designed for me. What is your equivalent of rock? When it comes to identity, it's not a role you perform. It's not a title you earn. It's not the version other people approve. Identity is that truth that existed before any script was ever handed to you. And it's the only thing that exists long after applause ends. Regardless of how many layers of behavior, layers of capability, layers of beliefs, None of these things has any power to touch identity, because the force, the energy, the power flows outward from identity to beliefs to capabilities to behavior, and then the environment. If your environment is not what you want it to be, forget about the environment. Just find the core. Once you change the function, once you discover that you are not a torch, you are a smartphone. I'm sorry if I used a very drastic example, because I remember my father used to have those torches that, you had to squeeze it, and sometimes you have to squeeze and hold it in a certain position. That's the only time it can light. And so I would go borrowing salt, and you have to hold in a certain position the entire journey. And that torch that had, it had one switch. You push it up, you push it down. The one that had 4 cells, nobody could switch it on except my dad. So he gives it to you, he switches it on, he gives it to you. You go and check whether the cattle are okay. You bring it back to him, he's the one who switches it off. So I think I used a very drastic example, but I hope that it drives that distinction, that the capabilities that I allow myself to express, the beliefs that I allow myself to embrace, the behaviors I show, might be a very tiny proportion of what I am capable of. And the only way to unlock something else is to go back to the original design. When it comes to focus, intentionality gives me the power to recognize my body before my mind. When Jesus came looking for Peter, he looked for where his body was. If he wanted to speak to his spirit, he could have spoken to his spirit without coming to him. Recognize my body before my mind. Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. There is so much the Bible says about the body. I think more of what we hear is about how sinful it is, but we forget that this is a temple that was created, and there's a reason why it's called the temple, to recognize my temple before my mind, because the mind is a software, and software can be upgraded. When it comes to intention, intentionality gives me the power to trust what I feel. To trust what I feel. Be still and know isn't complete until there is stillness of the body. You cannot tell me that you are still and you are running a marathon. And the most powerful element of stillness begins with stillness of the breath. The mind follows. Your thoughts calm down if you can control, get in touch with your breath. My life begins with breath, it ends with breath, my physical life, that is. I don't know about yours, I suspect the same. It's very possible that it's the same for you too, that it begins with breath and ends with breath. When it comes to release, intentionality gives me the power to release the need to prove who I am, because I don't need to prove who I am. I need to unveil. I need to uncover, to peel off the layers of behavior, capabilities, and beliefs, and uncover, not prove, uncover. Get to the point where I can say, Lord, you know that I am determined. You know that I am a voice. You know that I am a listening ear. You know that I'm a problem solver. You know that I'm a creator. You know that I'm a founder. You know, and I'm not talking about the role. It is that function. Think of it as function. I would like you to really, really think about that. Function, rock. So rock, that is the label of the rock, but what is the function? We can only infer, but Jesus gives him very specific instructions. Feed, 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 feed my sheep. It sounds like a behavior being instructed. No, it's a function. At the core of it, it's function. When it comes to claim, intentionality gives me the power to claim back, to bring back, to return to who I was before I proved it, as an expression, as an expression of the identity God designed for me. When it comes to permission, intentionality gives me the power to exist without proving I belong. To exist without proving I belong. Once I connect to my identity, my tribe must surround themselves around me. My people will find me. I will find my people. Any place I have to perform to prove that I belong, it's because I'm not connecting with them from identity. I used to feel powerless. I used to allow external circumstances, external beliefs, external words, external opinions, external limitations, external obstacles to hold me back. But now, more than ever, I am willing to say that enough is enough. From this moment, I am seizing back my power. Today, I have decided to direct my intentions. I am committed to master my focus. I have resolved to take command of my actions. Today, I'm shading outdated beliefs, outdated mindsets, and outdated perceptions. From my identity, I am determined to shape my reality with purpose. From my identity, I am eager to unlock my true potential. From my identity, I am willing to move to my next level. Hand over back to Madam Gladys Muhunyo. I will talk to you again on Monday morning. My name is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery. Where I come from, they call me Chobu. Over to you, Gladys.
Wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you, our coach and heart doctor, Dr. Job Mogire. Let's go to the chat and offer our statement of reactions. Then we'll set up the daily reset for today. The session will close at 6. We see you on Monday for daily reset, that is. Please write your chat and write your statements and share on your respective groups. Happy Friday.